The phone buzzed against the nightstand, a sharp vibration that sliced through the silence of my cliffside bungalow. I jolted upright, heart hammering, the kind of startle you get when you're half dreaming and the world decides to scream. Midnight. The screen glowed, casting blue shadows across the room, and the message stared up at me like a warning. Clear June 14th. Big plans. Trust us. No name, no context, just those words, cold and cryptic, from a number I didn't recognize. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, and read it again, waiting for it to make sense. It didn't. A chill crawled up my spine, not just from the ocean breeze slipping through the cracked window. Trust us? Who was us? And why did it feel like a threat? I'm Emma, 27, living alone in a weathered bungalow perched on the cliffs outside San Diego, California. I rebuilt this place myself, stripped the rotting floorboards, painted the walls a soft sage green, and wrestled with a leaky roof during a freak storm last spring. It's mine, every splinter and nail, a sanctuary I carved out of chaos. By day, I'm a crisis management consultant, the kind of person corporations call when their secrets are about to spill or their stock is about to tank. I'm good at it, too good, maybe. I fix messes, patch cracks, and make sure the world keeps spinning for people who don't even know my name. My family calls me the fixer, or sometimes just her, like I'm a placeholder in their story, not the lead. Emma, that name barely registers with them anymore. I've spent years wondering if I faded into the background or if they painted me out on purpose. The text kept me awake, its words looping in my head like a bad song. I tossed the phone onto the bed and paced to the window, the Pacific roaring below, black and endless under a sliver of moon. Trust us. My family didn't do cryptic. They didn't do plans, not for me. My birthday, June 14th, was 2 weeks away, and the last time they acknowledged it was when I turned 22, with a single thumbs-up emoji in a group chat at 2 a.m. No name, no happy birthday, just a digital shrug. So why this? Why now? I tried to shake it off, but my gut twisted. The kind of instinct that kicks in when you're about to walk into a client meeting and realize the data you prepped is gone. Something was coming, and it didn't feel like a celebration. Morning came too fast, the sun burning through the fog, painting the cliffs in gold. I brewed coffee strong enough to wake the dead and sat at my kitchen counter, staring at the text again. Still no sender ID. I scrolled through my contacts, cross-referencing numbers, but nothing matched. I could have traced it. Me job gave me access to tools most people don't even know exist, but I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I called my mum, Karen. She picked up on the third ring, her voice thin and trembling, like she'd been caught off guard. Emma, sweetheart. Hi. She sounded like she was holding her breath. I was just thinking about you. Mum, what's going on for June 14th? I cut straight to it, no patience for small talk. My job had taught me to read people, and her pause was too long, too heavy. Oh, honey, keep that day free, okay? Something huge is coming. Her words rushed out, almost rehearsed. A game changer. You'll see. What kind of game changer? I pressed, leaning against the counter, the ocean's roar faint through the glass. She laughed, a nervous trill. Just trust me, Emma. It's big. Then she hung up, leaving me with static and a sinking feeling that whatever this was, it wasn't about balloons and cake. I tried to focus on work, but my inbox was a war zone. A client in LA was panicking over a leaked memo. Another in Seattle was threatening to sue over a botched PR campaign. I was used to chaos, but today it felt personal, like the universe was piling on. Then my phone pinged again. Ethan, my older brother, who only texted when his startup was imploding, or he needed a quick fix for a boardroom crisis. Cancel everything for June 14th. You'll thank me. It's time you're seen. Seen? Ethan hadn't seen me since we were kids, back when we'd spend hours building driftwood forts on the beach. Now he was all Silicon Valley swagger, chasing venture capital and a fiancée who posted avocado toast like it was a personality trait. His text felt like a hook, baited with just enough promise to make me bite. I didn't trust it. My family didn't do birthdays, not for me. After college, the effort stopped. At 22, I got that emoji. At 23, a vague promise of, "We'll do something later," that never materialized. By 25, I'd stopped expecting anything, started buying my own cake, lighting my own candles. But this text's, calls, cryptic hints it was different. It was deliberate, and that scared me more than the silence ever had. 2 days later, I was driving to a client meeting in La Jolla, the coastal highway winding tight against the cliffs. The Pacific glittered to my left, a deceptively calm blue. I was halfway through a podcast about corporate espionage when my brakes went soft. I pressed harder. Nothing. The pedal sank to the floor, and the car didn't slow. My heart slammed into my ribs as the road curved sharper, a sheer drop to the ocean below. I yanked the wheel, swerving into the gravel shoulder, tires screeching, the car fishtailing until it stopped inches from the guardrail. I sat there, hands shaking, breath ragged, the podcast still droning about risk assessment, irony at its finest. The mechanic's verdict came later that afternoon. Brake lines cut, clean and deliberate. No fingerprints, no clues, just a warning carved into the underbelly of my car. I drove home in a rental, eyes flicking to the rearview mirror, half expecting a shadow to follow. Was this tied to work? A client I'd crossed? Or was it the text, the big plans, the family I'd never quite trusted to have my back? I didn't know, but I cancelled every appointment for June 14th. If they wanted me to clear my day, fine, I'd play along. But I wasn't walking into whatever this was blind. June 13th, I stopped at Seaside Bakery, the one my dad used to swear by before he started spending more time at the family's beach house than with us. I bought a chocolate torte, its icing glossy and perfect, and carried it home like a fragile promise. I set my dining table for not because I expected company, but because hope is a stubborn thing, even when you know better. I slipped on the sapphire earrings Grandma Rose gave me when I was 16, their weight cool against my skin. She'd pressed them into my palm, her hands trembling with age, and whispered, "These are for when you're ready to be seen, Emma." Really seen? I'd worn them every birthday since, a quiet rebellion against being forgotten. By 10 a.m. on June 14th, my phone was silent. No texts, no calls, just the hum of the fridge and the distant crash of waves. I checked Ethan's Instagram, hoping for a hint, but found only cryptic shots of the ocean, waves curling like secrets. My thumb hovered over his number, but I didn't call. I'd learned long ago that chasing answers from my family only led to more questions. Instead, I lit a candle, its flame flickering against the torte's icing, and waited. At 10:45, my phone rang not Ethan, not Mom, but a client, screaming about a data breach. "You leaked our merger plans, Emma. We're ruined." I hadn't, but the accusation hit like a punch. I spent an hour combing through emails, server logs, anything to prove it wasn't me, my pulse racing as the clock ticked closer to noon. The torte's icing started to soften, beads of condensation pooling on the plate. The candle dripped wax, pooling like tears on the tablecloth. I poured a glass of Pinot, not to celebrate, but to steady my hands. One bite of torte, and it tasted like ash, the sweetness drowned in the bitterness of waiting. By 2 p.m., I was pacing, the bungalow's floorboards creaking under my steps. I'd locked every door, every window, after spotting a black SUV idling across the street that morning. A man sat inside, face obscured, just watching. I'd seen him before, hadn't I? Last week, maybe. Outside my office. Or was I paranoid? The break incident making me see threats where there were none. I checked my phone again. Nothing. Not from Ethan, not from Mom, not even a spam email to break the silence. The group chat was dead. The last message a photo of Ethan's surfboard from a week ago, captioned, "Ready for the ride." I'd liked it. No one noticed. At 3:30, I opened Instagram, scrolling through a feed of strangers' lives, beach bonfires, rooftop bars, dogs in party hats. Everyone else was somewhere, someone. I was nowhere, nobody. The candle was half gone, its flame weak, and I told myself I'd wait until 5. Maybe they'd call then. Maybe it was a surprise dinner, a video call, a delivery with a note that said, "We didn't forget." I didn't believe it, but I couldn't stop hoping either. Then, at 4:15, my phone buzzed with an email not from family, but an anonymous sender. Stop digging into family secrets, or else my stomach dropped. Secrets? What secrets? The brake lines, the SUV. Now this was it all connected? I forwarded the email to my work server, tagged it for analysis, but my hands were shaking too hard to type a reply. I locked the doors again, checked the windows, and turned off the lights, as if darkness could hide me from whatever was closing in. By 6 p.m. the candle was a stub, the torte a melted mess. I sat at the table, staring at the second plate, still empty. I refreshed Instagram one last time, and there it was. My cousin Lila's story, posted minutes ago. String lights swayed over a wooden deck, the camera panning to a long table at the family's beach house, the one they said was under repair, the one I'd offered to help fix, the one they swore no one used anymore. My parents, Ethan, Aunt Clara, even Uncle Mark, who'd flown in from Sydney, were there, laughing, glasses raised. A banner hung above. Ethan, Sophie, a new beginning. My brother was engaged, again, and they were celebrating it on my birthday. I tapped through the story, my breath catching. Sophie, Ethan's fiancée, stood in a soft lavender dress, her smile wide, her neck adorned with Grandma Rose's sapphire locket. The one she'd promised me when I was 12, sitting on her porch with a tray of lemonade between us. She'd unhooked it, pressed it into my palm, and said, "This is yours when you shine, Emma." Inside was a photo of her and Grandpa on their wedding day, and a tiny paper heart with my name scrawled in blue ink, Emma Grace. After she died, I asked Mom about it. She'd brushed it off. "Oh, it's with her things. I'll find it." And I never saw it again, until now, dangling on Sophie's neck like a trophy. Lila's caption hit harder. "Family complete with our new daughter." I froze. Complete? They hadn't just forgotten my birthday. They'd replaced me, rewritten the script, and cast Sophie as the daughter they wanted. I tapped to the next story, Mom hugging Sophie, tears in her eyes, Ethan's voice in the background saying, "To the woman who made us whole." Whole! As if I'd been a gap, a mistake, a placeholder they'd finally filled. I set the phone down, screen dark, and stared at the torte, the candle long dead. The bungalow was silent, the ocean's roar distant now, like it was holding its breath. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, letting the truth settle. They hadn't forgotten me. They'd chosen to erase me. And the locket proof that someone once saw me, really saw me, was now just an accessory for someone who didn't even know its weight. I stood, walked to the window, and looked out at the cliffs. The SUV was gone, but the chill in my bones wasn't. The text, the brakes, the email, the party, they were pieces of a puzzle I didn't want to solve. Not yet. I turned back to the table, picked up the second plate, and slid it into the cupboard. I wasn't waiting anymore, but I couldn't shake the question burning in my chest. What was the big plan they'd promised, and why did it feel like it was meant to break me? The ocean roared outside my bungalow, a restless growl that matched the churn in my chest. It was 6:02 p.m. on June 14th, and the candle on my dining table had sputtered out, leaving a puddle of wax that looked like it was grieving. The chocolate torte sat untouched, its icing a glossy ruin, mocking the hope I'd let fester all day. My phone lay face down on the counter, silent as a stone, and I was done checking it. Done waiting for a call, a text, a knock at the door that would prove my family hadn't erased me. But the silence wasn't empty, it was heavy, deliberate, like a choice someone had made and left me to carry. I stood, legs unsteady from too much wine and not enough answers, and paced to the window. The cliffs dropped sharp into the Pacific, the horizon bruised purple by dusk. I'd seen the Instagram story Lila's story 20 minutes ago, and it was still burned into my eyes. The family beach house, string lights swaying, my parents, Ethan, Aunt Clara, Uncle Mark from Sydney, all toasting Ethan's engagement to Sophie. A banner proclaiming, "Ethan, Sophie, a new beginning." Sophie, radiant in lavender, wearing Grandma Rose's sapphire locket, the one she'd pressed into my hand at 12 with a promise, "This is yours when you shine." Emma. I'd held onto that promise like a lifeline, even after Mom claimed it was lost in storage when Rose died. Now it hung around Sophie's neck, a casual theft, and Lila's caption had cut deeper than any knife. Family complete with our new daughter. Complete, as if I'd been a draft, a sketch they'd crumpled and tossed. I pressed my forehead against the cool glass, trying to steady my breath, but my pulse spiked as I remembered the anonymous email from earlier. Stop digging into family secrets or else. Secrets? What secrets? The brake lines cut on my car 2 days ago. The black SUV idling outside my house this morning. The cryptic text at midnight 2 weeks back. Clear June 14th. Big plans. Trust us. It was all starting to feel like a script I hadn't been given. I wasn't just forgotten. I was being maneuvered, maybe even hunted. I turned from the window, the bungalow's shadows stretching long across the floorboards I'd sanded myself. My laptop pinged, a sharp sound that made me flinch. Another email, this one from a client in San Francisco, subject line screaming, "Data breacher fault." My heart sank as I opened it. The merger plans I'd spent weeks securing had leaked online, tanking their stock and pointing every finger at me. "Fix this, Emma, or we sue," the message read, blunt and brutal. I hadn't leaked anything. I was meticulous, obsessive even, but the timing was too perfect, too aligned with the rest of this day. I opened my work server, fingers flying over the keys, tracing the breach. The logs showed an external hack, sophisticated, routed through a VPN in some Eastern European backwater. I froze. My family didn't have that kind of pull, did they? But Ethan's startup had investors, shadowy ones I'd never met. And Sophie, her PR firm, had a reputation for playing dirty. Was this their game? Sabotage my career to keep me distracted, compliant? I slammed the laptop shut, my breath shallow. The room felt too small, the walls pressing in. I grabbed my phone, instinct screaming to call Ethan, to demand answers, but I stopped. What would I say? Did you cut my brakes, hack my clients, give away my locket? It sounded unhinged, even to me. Instead, I opened Instagram again, torturing myself. Ethan's story had updated, a new clip posted minutes ago. Sophie blowing out candles on a tiered cake. My mom toasting with a wine glass, her voice clear and proud. To the woman who fixed us, as if I'd been the broken piece they'd finally replaced. I replayed it, the words slicing deeper each time, until I couldn't breathe. A crash outside snapped me out of it. Not a wave, not the window-sharp splintering sound from the backyard. I froze, heart pounding, and crept to the kitchen window. The shed was on fire, flames licking up the wooden walls, devouring the client files I kept there for backup. I fumbled for my phone, Dialed 911, my voice shaking as I reported it. Hurry, please, it's spreading. I grabbed a fire extinguisher from under the sink, but by the time I got outside, the shed was a furnace, heat scorching my face. Sirens wailed in the distance, and I backed away, coughing, as the flames lit up the night. Firefighters arrived, hoses blasting, but the shed was gone, along with years of contracts, notes, evidence of my work. One of them, a grizzled captain, pulled me aside. "Looks like arson," he said, voice low. "Accelerant on the walls. You got enemies, Miss Grace?" Enemies. The word hung there, heavy as the smoke. I thought of the SUV, the brakes, the email. I thought of Ethan's text. "It's time you're seen." Seen by who? For what? I shook my head, told the captain I didn't know, but my mind was racing. Someone wanted me vulnerable, exposed. Someone wanted me to lose everything. Back inside, I locked every door, checked every window, my hands trembling as I sank onto the couch. The bungalow smelled of smoke. The tort still sat on the table, a pathetic monument to a day that had unravelled into chaos. I opened my phone, ignoring the client's threats, and checked the family group chat. Silent. The last message was a week-old photo of Ethan's surfboard, captioned, "Ready for the ride." I'd liked it, a reflex, and no one had noticed. Now I stared at it, wondering if it was a clue, a taunt, or just another way they'd written me out. At 8 p.m, my phone rang. Ethan. I let it go to voicemail, but he called again, then texted, "Don't ruin this for me, Emma. Stay quiet." My blood ran cold. Ruin what? His engagement? His perfect new family? I played the voicemail, his voice tight, almost desperate. "Emma, come on, you're making this bigger than it is. Just don't do anything stupid." Stupid? Like asking why they'd thrown a party on my birthday and invited everyone but me. Like asking why Sophie was wearing my locket, why Mom called her their daughter, why I was the one left in the dark. I stood, pacing again, the floorboards creaking under my weight. The arson, the hack, the brakes, they couldn't all be coincidence. I opened my laptop, pulled up my client database, and started digging deeper into the breach. Hours passed, the screen blurring as I traced IP addresses, cross-referenced email headers, anything to find a thread. At 1 a.m, I found it. A login from an IP tied to a co-working space in San Diego, one Ethan's startup used. My stomach twisted. Was he involved? Or was it Sophie, her PR firm known for digital dirty tricks? I couldn't prove it. Not yet. But the pieces were starting to fit. A knock at the door made me jump. It was 2 a.m, the cliffs silent except for the ocean's low growl. I grabbed a kitchen knife, heart hammering, and peered through the peephole. No one. Just darkness. I opened the door a crack, the knife trembling in my hand, and saw it. A plain white envelope on the welcome mat. No address, no name. I snatched it, locked the door, and tore it open. Inside was a single Polaroid, grainy and faded. Me, at 12, sitting on Grandma Rose's porch, the sapphire locket around my neck. On the back, in Sharpie, 2 words, "You were warned." I dropped the photo, my breath catching. Warned. The email. "Stop digging into family secrets." But what secrets? The locket? The party? Or something deeper? Something I'd never been told? I sank to the floor, the knife clattering beside me, and stared at the Polaroid. Grandma Rose's voice echoed in my head. "This is yours when you shine." I hadn't shone, not to them. I'd fixed their crises, cleaned their messes, but I'd never been enough. By morning, I was done. Not sad, not angry, just done. I opened Instagram, unfollowed Ethan, Sophie, and muted Mom's account. Not out of spite, but survival. I couldn't keep scrolling through their highlight reel, watching them rewrite me out of their story. I opened the group chat, my thumb hovering over the leave button. I hesitated, then pressed it. No confirmation, no. Are you sure? Just gone. I felt lighter, like I'd shed a weight I hadn't known I was carrying. But Ethan wasn't done. 3 days later he texted, "Saw you left the chat. You okay?" I ignored it. He called twice, left a voicemail. "Sophie, didn't mean to hurt you. Let's talk." I deleted it. Then Mom emailed, her words polished and empty. "Missed you at the party. It was spontaneous. Come to the wedding? No mention of my birthday. No apology. Just a subject line that lingered. Still family. As if I was the one who'd walked away." At noon, another message came, this one from Sophie herself, a DM on Instagram. "I didn't know about the locket, Emma. Can we meet?" I stared at it, my pulse spiking again. Meet? Why? To apologize? To explain? Or to pull me deeper into whatever game they were playing? I didn't reply, but the question gnawed at me. Did Sophie know something I didn't? Was there a secret, a truth about my family that they'd buried? Something the locket symbolized? Something worth cutting brake lines and setting fires to keep hidden? That afternoon I was walking home from the post office, the cliffs looming to my left, when a black SUV roared around the corner, tires screeching. I dove to the side, scraping my knees on the gravel as it swerved, missing me by inches. It sped off, but I caught the license plate same as the one outside my house. I limped home, adrenaline burning, and called the police. They took a report, but their eyes said it all. No plate, no proof, no case. I didn't tell them about the Polaroid, the email, the locket. I didn't know who to trust anymore. The next day, a detective showed up, his badge gleaming under my porch light. He asked about the shed fire, the brake tampering, his questions sharp and probing. "You're in crisis management, Miss Grace. Anyone want you out of the picture?" I thought of Ethan's investors, Sophie's firm, the anonymous email. I thought of Mom's toast, Ethan's plea to stay quiet. "I don't know," I lied, my voice steady. He left, but his card burned a hole in my pocket, a reminder that someone was watching. I couldn't stay still. I boxed up the last family photo I had, a faded shot from the beach house. Before Sophie, before the silence, and buried it in the attic. I didn't delete it, but I didn't need it staring at me anymore. That night, I sat at my desk, the Polaroid in front of me, Grandma Rose's locket glinting in the grainy light. I'd traced my name on the paper heart inside. The ink faded but still there. I wasn't shining, not yet, but I wasn't invisible either. A week later, I made a choice. I slipped the sapphire earrings, Rose's other gift, the ones I'd worn every birthday, into a plain white envelope. No note, no card, just the earrings, their weight, a quiet goodbye. I addressed it to Sophie, care of Ethan, and walked it to the post office. The clerk asked if I wanted tracking. I said no. I didn't need to know where they ended up. I just needed them gone. Out of my house, out of my life. That Sunday, Ethan texted one last time. "Did you send this?" I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. I opened my front door, let the ocean air flood in, and stepped onto the porch. The cliffs stretched out, sharp and unyielding, the Pacific crashing below. I thought of Rose, her voice soft but sure. "When you shine, Emma." I wasn't there yet, but I was closer than I'd ever been. I'd stopped waiting, stopped hoping for their approval, their love. I'd survived their erasure, their secrets, their threat, and in the silence I'd chosen, I found something new, a spark, small but fierce, that no one could take away. I walked back inside, the Polaroid still on my desk, a question unanswered but no longer a weight. The locket was gone, the family was gone, but I was still here. And for the first time, that was enough.